I will be receiving the Canon R5 Mark II in just a couple of days with some accessories. And so I am creating this video specifically for all of you to help input me on a list that I'm putting together on tests with the Canon R5 Mark II. I have begun my testing list that I will be doing over the course of many days, many weeks with the Canon R5 Mark II, so you are well informed of what it is capable and what it is not capable of. So let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel, my beautiful crazy train friends. I think a bug just flew in here, but I'm not going to edit that out. It just went. It could be my ADD. I might have just saw something. So, as a lot of you know, I am a Canon shooter. And if you're new here, I'm a Canon shooter. This is the Canon R6 Mark II, which I've had it since launch when it first came out. And these are a little dingy. I forgot to mute this. That was my mom, and now I muted her. That's how important this is to me for you guys. I muted my mom. She can wait. So, as I was saying, this is the Canon R6 Mark II. I've had this since launch. These are the lenses that you can see because behind the scene I have other lenses. For example, the 15-35 is looking at me right now, the 2.8. It is awesome on the Canon R7, which is also looking at me right now. And I will tell you, it is at 22 millimeters. So 22 millimeters, the 15-35 at 2.8. Looks pretty good, doesn't it? I've got the f4 70-200, which I love. Some people are like, no, you need the 2.8. And I say, no, I like to travel light. This is what I love. You can't make me. You can't. And then the 24-70 2.8, which was the second L series lens that I bought after the 15-35 2.8. And then what do we have over here? This is the 24-105. Why do I have the 24-105 and the 24-70? Well, it's because this is great for traveling on the go and with multiple bodies. If I'm doing a dual camera or a triple camera setup, it's nice to have that overlap. And then my workhorse, which used to be my 15-35 2.8, but it's in my studio all the time now, is actually my 14-35 f4 for all the architectural photography that I do. And that stays on the R6 Mark II all the time until this Canon R5 Mark II, which will be here in less than a week. Now, if you are familiar with any of the videos that I've done in the past with the Canon R7, the R6, the R6 Mark II, I've always done tests, very not scientific, it's been Jared-tific, and that is really the tracking, the autofocus, all little nuances, the color, the C-Log3 with the dynamic range. And so I want to do the same thing with the R5 II, but the R5 II is packing so much information that I'm pretty much prepared to just draw it out to months. I mean, it probably would be weeks. It could be a few months, but all the information that needs to be drawn out of this camera to know what it is capable and what it is not capable of will take a lot of tests. So I started here. I'm going to tell you what I have, but ultimately this video is specifically for you to tell me what you want to see in these tests, because that is what counts, and you have a different perspective than I do, which I appreciate. So one of the first tests that I really want to do is comparing the R6 Mark II with the R5 II. They are both second generations into their series. It'll be interesting on pros and cons, the 24 megapixel versus the 45 stacked. Back illuminated stacked. What does that look like? How is the noise between the two? Now, the 24 traditionally would be less noise, but there is some stuff that the R5 II has going for it. So those are tests that I want to do. C-Log2 versus C-Log3. Now, this is going to be an interesting test, an interesting specific video that I will be doing C-Log2 and 3 within the Canon R5 II. So I will be comparing the dynamic range with what you get there. Now, I'm also going to compare the C-Log2 in the R5 II compared or versus the R6 II's C-Log3. I know it's apples to oranges, but a lot of you will want to know, is it that much of a difference? And mostly those dynamic range tests are going to be done with DaVinci Resolve, and it's going to be done inside with real estate walkthroughs looking out windows. how much of a difference is that? I'm also going to be testing it with the base ISO of 800, go to 1600, 3200, and 6400 in those tests too, and see if there's a big difference with that. Now, these are real world. I'm not going to be using charts. They're not going to be specific. Again, Jared-tific all here. But that is something I want to jump onto. Then to continue on to video, I want to do RAW versus C-Log 2. Are you both getting the 16 stops of dynamic range plus between the C-Log 2 and the RAW footage? And is there a big difference between the 4K and the 8K when doing the C-Log 2 in the dynamic range? Because that may save you a lot of space on your card. For example, if you can save a lot of space and you don't need 8K, then the 4K is going to be a good route to go with C-Log 2 and not shooting in RAW. So that will be a test I'm going to do. Getting into the photography end of things, there is something that I am just not used to, but the R3 has, and that is the retina eye autofocus pupil thingy. I don't know what the scientific name of it is, but it's that thing where you commit your eye to what you're looking at. I am very curious about this. This is brand new to me. I've never used the R3. So I have no idea how it works. This is going to be the second generation, so it should be better. And I'm going to focus on people recognition. You can store up to, I believe, 10 people into your camera. It's kind of crazy, but it dedicates who takes priority. But I also want to look at objects and things that are not considered specific objects in the tracking. So if I am in the woods and I see not an animal, but I see a tree branch that I'm really interested in because I'm totally into tree branches, I want to know if my eye focuses on that twig, is it going to focus on that twig? Because if that is the case, count me giggly like a schoolboy in first grade, but not second. Second got bad. Now, I only have one more thing on this list that I have because I'm going to be leaving a lot of it up to you guys. I'm going to be thinking about it as I'm using the camera, but also the feedback. So the last thing I wrote on here, or one of the last things I wrote, is I actually did buy the fan. So I pre-ordered the fan accessory, which holds 2 batteries. But one of the reasons why I did it wasn't to extend the battery so much, or the camera so much when it comes to shooting and not overheating, but it was also with the 2.5 gigabit Ethernet port that you have it on. Now I don't have to take the CF Express Type B card out and put it into a specific little drive onto my computer. I could actually transfer it all through the 2.5 gigabit Ethernet connection on there as well. So the test that I'm going to be doing with it is how much battery life can I get with my typical 4K 60 and 4K 24 in C-Log 2. Is the battery draining fast? Am I getting overheating issues at all? Because if I'm not, because I'm not shooting 8K most of the time, then that battery pack may not be on there, or that fan, I mean, with the battery included. But where I do think it's going to benefit is when I'm at long shoots, and for you, and that's why I want to test this fan as well. If you are a wedding photographer, an event photographer, an event videographer, then honestly, that fan will probably be the best way to go. Plus, you don't have to change out batteries, and you can transfer right away through that 2.5 gigabit Ethernet port. So now what I want you to do is leave comments below what you want tested. And if you want to know what kind of tests that I've done, again, not scientific, totally Jared-tific, you can check out these other videos that I've done before with the Canon R7, the R6, the R6 II. Check out the library. I want to start planning these videos in advance so I can start making kind of a series with the R5 II in all these tests. So you tell me, what testing videos do you want to see in here? And then obviously probably some real world things as well. Me going downtown, taking photos of maybe my children, doing some architectural photography, and the video walkthroughs as well, the real world thing. But there's a lot of nuances with this that I'm not even probably prepared for. Is this camera an overkill? Yes, it is an overkill for probably everybody. Nobody, I don't even need this camera. I am a full-time photographer and I don't need this camera. I could be with the R6 Mark II. And so do I have FOMO? Do I have fear of missing out? No, I have gas, like really bad gear acquisition syndrome. if that's what you thought gas was. I also have the other gas too, but that's a different one. But you know what? Gas isn't that bad when you have the money and the means to do it. And in my case, this is a business. This is just how it works for me. If you are a hobbyist, the R5 II may not be the best route to go. The R6 II would probably be the best route to go. And that's why I have the R5 II versus the R6 II, because in most cases, the R6 II is going to benefit you the best. But the R5 II is going to offer some pretty cool things, which I think is going to trickle down onto the R6 III. Oh, I wanted to add this too. I'm actually going to be doing a read-write test with some of the cards as well using the CF Express. I do have the Lexar CF Express 2 terabyte coming in as well, which I will be testing that and the speeds, because that's going to be huge. If you can do 2 terabytes, which is the max you can do on here, and I think it'll be more than enough unless I'm doing AK60 all day long, then that's pretty ridiculous in RAW, which I'm not going to. But it'll be interesting on how much information I can get, how many hours of recording I can get in 4K 60, 4K 120, 4K 24, because these are formats that you're going to be using in weddings and video walkthroughs, and maybe in some interview style type videos as well. But again, leave comments below. And if you are not subscribed, subscribe, because I'm going to have a ton of these videos on the R5 II starting next week right away. I'm going to be shooting right away. I'm going to do an unboxing as quick as possible, same day, knock it out. And then right away, I'm just going to be learning this camera as you are learning it with me. It'll be fun. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Oh, check out these videos right here. This will give you an idea on how I do the test with the R7 and the R6 II. It'll be something like that with the R5 II, but I think I could get crazier. Tell me how crazy I can get.